Are you sure?
I mean, yeah, if my hosting abilities are really bad, then all five of us will just be really overwhelmed by everything. But with that, we are live. How's it going, everybody? That's not actually the start of the podcast, but I thought I might as well say hi to the video.
There you go.
Let me make sure our levels are all good here, and YouTube is looking friendly. Perfect. All right, we should be live. How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network, link 281. I am your first at least of two soul hackers on tonight's podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Presley. Joining me from the deep, dark, seedy underbelly of the internet is Chris from the Chrillcast. What's going on, Chris?
What's up, my homie? How are you doing, Spencer?
I am doing good. I'm in between a lot right now with life, games, and everything kind of in between. I'm trying to think about it. Like literally, my entire last weekend was just spent trying to see everything I could pawn off to get rent, which is a feeling I have not had in many, many years. And it was just one of those weird things of just being I did not expect, I know it's expensive right now just in general for everything, but if you told me, hey, it's going to cost you $5,000 to move next month, I would have been
Ooh.
Are you sure? Does it have to be that much on top of all the other bills and stuff? So yeah, thankfully we've made it to August. I'm alive. I'm at least not repossessed yet. So we're now in the healing process. No more having to rent U-Haul vans and eat out every night because there's no food in your fridge and stuff like that. So I've survived. I'm officially in the new place. I mean, last week's episode was also in the new place, but this one, we're here. We've at least paid for this month, so you know what? I trust my ability to have rent for next month a lot better than this month was. But that's enough adult talk. Chris, how are you tonight? And what the heck have you and the Chrillcast boys been up to?
Well, we just got back to posting daily videos, or rather, I should say, I have.
Yeah, Will, step it up. Come on.
My newborn is surpassed the 2-month point, and I finally have more than an hour break in between, changing and stuff, where I can actually post videos. So we're back to that, and I did a Persona 2 video earlier this week, which is probably why Spencer invited me on to talk about this, since we both care about Persona 2 pretty deeply.
Well, basically, I know two people who are playing the Eternal Punishment mod, which we will be discussing on today's episode. You and Gnarly. Gnarly just came on, and if I brought Gnarly on, people might think that he's held at gunpoint to talk to me on the show because of his lovely monotone voice. So, in a way to spice it up, got you on here so we can kind of talk about it, especially because you and me are one of the more rare cases because we're playing it on native hardware because PCs scare me. Even right now, streaming this is scaring me.
Yeah, I always shoot for original hardware, mostly because when I boot up a computer, I feel like I'm working, and I don't want to game and feel like I'm working.
100%. I forget if we've talked about this, and we don't have to go into it if we have, because we could go down a big rabbit hole. I forget. Have you talked to or do you watch any of the stuff from the My Life in Gaming guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
My Life in Gaming. I always mix them up with GameSack, because they're so similar.
I've never watched anything. I'm aware of GameSack. I've seen the thumbnails, but I've never clicked on them, so I actually wouldn't know how similar they are. Well,
so GameSack is a more jokey version of My Life in Gaming. I mean, it just makes sense if their name is GameSack. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Well, Game Nut was taken, so they had to do GameSack.
And so was Hard for Games. That was taken too. Anyways, long story short. No, I like My Life in Gaming. Why were you asking?
Oh, just because they're definitely the same way with us. Of obviously emulation is helpful in a lot of aspects, but what's more fun is playing it on that native hardware, even if it's not the playing it native hardware with original copies, and then kind of working around it to get get those aspects there.
Yeah, the hardest thing, honestly, to play native hardware for me is I like to have an original copy of the game too. So, for me, I actually went back. This is kind of a side thing here, but I actually found a copy of the original Fire Emblem on the Famicom, and I have FPGA version of the NES called the Retro USB AVS. It's actually quite expensive to try and get right now, but it has a Famicom port and an NES port on it, so you can play both. And then it plays it in 720p HD. So it's like a simulation of original hardware. So it's as close to as you can get to original NES hardware as possible. And then the cart has a physical hardware mod inside of it to translate an original ROM cart into English. Like, that's how serious I am about original hardware and playing it that way. Like, and forget the $5 Switch version. I'm gonna pay $45 for the cart and a good, $500 for the FPGA HD NES version to play it that way. The things that make your wife rage when she finds out about it.
I'll tell you this: are you like? Because I know you're a lot more into Fire Emblem than me. Are you displaying your see-through NES cartridge from the Fire Emblem special edition they did like 2 years ago?
There's no game in that cart.
Well, I know there's no game, but I was like,
nothing about it.
I liked that they at least included like a little cart, like kind of replica, even though like it wouldn't have killed them to put it on a Switch cart.
That's pretty far out of the way for Nintendo to even give you that much. So like I applaud them for trying, but that means nothing to me because there's no physical game at all. So like for me, I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy the original cart from Japan,
which it will be way cheaper too.
Minus the hardware mod, yes, it would have been way cheaper.
So, without kind of getting into the Eternal Punishment stuff, first, I did want to pick your brain with a couple of current things where we're at. So, we're now in August, which is officially Soul Hackers Month, unless you like Saints Row like me, and then you can call it Saint Hackers Month. And I wanted to kind of ask, what's the Chrillcast vibe check right now? Like, where are you feeling with the Soul Hackers hype train? Because the marketing has been pretty low so far, but mostly because they're smart and they didn't want to compete with Nintendo and get absolutely steamrolled for attention. And I think once we get past this week, we're definitely going to see a lot more. You're going to see previews, you're going to see people talking about the game and them showing it off a lot more in the West. But for you right now, where are you at with it? Are you hyped? Is it kind of in the back of your brain? What are you thinking about it?
Wait, Soul Hackers is coming out? No, I'm just kidding.
There's a sequel? I hope it's on the 3DS.
I don't plan to buy the original Soul Hackers until I finish the 3DS version. I'll be entirely honest. And that's only because I am like that. I like to play things in the release order as much as I can, if I can.
As much as I can, even if the game has nothing to do with the first game.
I know that it pretty much has nothing to do with the first game. That's my understanding, at least.
I would love to tell you in detail how little you need to play Soul Hackers 1. When there's two videos or topics I have the game right now. I have the full game, and I can't wait for when I can even give a little bit of opinions out there, because it's literally when this game started, I can't give an opinion, but I will at least say this. When I started the game, I was shocked at how it started. Take that as you will, positive, negative, or whatever. I was texting my friends when this game started, and I went, wow, that's a choice. And it was one of those things that were just I'll at least say this, I'm doubling and tripling down. Even Atlas West, I think, said on Twitter in a reply to someone today, because they were like, do I need to play the first one? I cannot stress this enough. You don't even need to know what Devil Summoner is to play this game. Obviously, they say the word Devil Summoner a lot, but it was one of those funny things to just be you really don't need to know anything going into this.
Well, I don't know if what makes me sadder is that, or the idea that Project RE Fantasy has absolutely nothing about it.
RE Fantasy is it's like a In-N-Out burger in Kansas. It's a great idea, but until there's actually anything there, really, what's the point in talking about it? It's a thing of
I'm saying as far as sadness, I like it I like even the little tiny bits that connect the Persona games.
There are definitely connections, but I will say this: if anything, I can double down on, along with saying you don't need to play the first one to be excited for the second one. Doubly letting you all know, there's a reason it's not called Devil Summoner or SMT. It's definitely its own beast. I definitely understand why they want it to be its own pillar now. which is a good thing. Like, I like that they're different in the way that, like, playing Tokyo Mirage Session felt like an Atlas game, but it didn't feel like you were just playing Shin Megami Tensei or Fire Emblem.
Are you telling me that Soul Hackers could be the next Persona spin-off, like branching itself into its own path out of the SMT world?
Oh, definitely. 100%.
Is it good enough to be like on the same?
That I can't tell you. I'll at least say it's trying to, because they've said that in interviews before. But no, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting hearing people talk about this. Because I'll at least say this, because this is one I can definitely say, because this is other people's opinions. This is a game that will definitely be polarizing, like how 5 was in terms of like. You're going to have people who are going to love it, and you're going to have people that are going to be like, wow, this is very different, or this is not what I was going to be expecting, and they can take from that what they will. It's definitely not going to be that thing of just... I mean, I think especially nowadays, it's so rare to have people be like, universally, we all love this, or universally, we all hate this. Like, whether it be something like Persona 5 or The Last of Us Part 2. Like... There's no thing that like everyone either hates or everyone either loves. Like when you really get down to it, you know.
Except for the Persona 2 and Persona 1, like everybody universally just does not like those games. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I would say if you hate Eternal Punishment, it's because you're stuck with the PS1 version. I'll allow that. You're allowed to not like that version. That's a crusty version of that game.
Hey, I like that version.
It's a good version, but like, listen, when you're playing the PSP version of Eternal Punishment, you're like, wow, I never need to go back to the original.
Oh no, that's a fact. Like, if mine wasn't, if I hadn't gotten mine on the cheap like I did, my original PS1 copy of Persona 2, and if they didn't, or the translation makes the PSP one worth it finally. But if I didn't have it for $50, like there's no way I'm paying the current market prices for Persona 2. Like
no, definitely.
The only reason I was willing to pay the $200 for my Revelations Persona copy is because it was literally the only game in the series I didn't have. Although the fact that it says kids to adults, like how on earth did they get away with that? For the original Revelations Persona.
Well, it's for babies, and B, clearly no one at the ESRB does their job.
Like, kids to adults, like, what the heck? Anyways, long story short, I'm still surprised they got away with that. But that's a very dark game for being kids to adults, my god.
I should recheck what it's actually listed on for the ESRB website. I wonder if it actually is still the same. But
I bet it hasn't changed. Well, did they have to get it re-rated for the PS1 Classic?
Yeah, for the Classic they had to re-rate it.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's possible then.
But I'm trying to think of another one. Actually, talking about PS1 Classic stuff, have you checked out any of the PlayStation 1 or PSP games on PS4?
Oh, there's PS1 games on PS4 now?
Yeah, because remember when they added PlayStation Premium, you can buy some of them a la carte, and you can either buy them and play them on PS4 or PS5, and they both have different native versions.
Didn't even know that I thought it was PS5 exclusive.
Honestly,
so I never touched it.
Most people did not, so that is okay. The list right now is pretty small, unfortunately, but like the big one is. The big thing about it, I will say, is like it's got a couple of weird ones that I really love. Like I've played
Ibs Odyssey's on here. I see that one.
Well, so there's two different categories. If it says PlayStation 1 emulation, that means it's just the game with rewind and save states, but no trophies or additional like dev support.
They put Risk from the PS1 on there apparently.
I didn't know that they added Risk. Risk from PS1. That's a weird choice.
It's listed here. I don't know if let me find the legit list.
Watch like that's like the PS3 list, just like. But yeah, like so they actually added a couple of games with trophies. So the original Siphon Hunter and not Siphon Hunter, Siphon Filter and Wild Arms. I'm playing a lot of Wild Arms. Like that has trophies. Tekken has trophies. Resident Evil is on there, but that's only if you have premium. But like, it's a good list of starters, but they're definitely rolling them out a little too slow for my liking. I'm also drowning in games, so like I don't really need it. But I'd be curious to see if there's any games on there that kind of catch your interest because like it's really good emulation. Like the stuff on there is very, very nice. Like it's great to have trophies for some of these games. Like it really like makes me like hope that like if we live in a world where Atlas may be too lazy to bring over the PSP games. Hopefully they can bring them over on these PlayStation 4 and 5 emulators because they're really, really well done. Like, they have a lot of good features and they look really nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like a definitive. Oh, here we go. Classics catalogs update. Let me see if it's got it in here. Let's find out. Browse the Classics catalog. Here it is. All right, here we go. This is the Classics catalog. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, PS1. So what is if it says Ape Escape PS1, PS4, and Ape Escape PS1, PS5? Does it mean there's two different versions?
Those are two different versions. So yeah, if you're playing the PS4 version or the PS5, the game is basically the same, but is two separate trophy lists.
I was really hoping there would be a Persona, but since they're releasing 3, 4, and 5, there probably won't be.
Hey, so fun fact, Revelations Persona actually did get re-rated. It is not a K to A anymore, but it is E for everyone, which is still funny to me. Like, they were like, okay, it's definitely not for babies, but it's at least for everyone.
No, that makes sense, because K to A doesn't exist anymore.
True.
So anything that was K to A goes to E.
That is funny. But yeah, so it did get re-rated for the PlayStation Classic. And I will say, I forgot this. I don't know if this is like the ESRB being weird. I always called it Revelations Persona. I need to look at the cover.
Revelation Series.
Right? Why do we never call it Revelation Series?
Well, because the series part of it is like in a banner that looks like it's an underline.
I need to look at this image now. I feel like I'm being gaslit by the ESRB.
No, I've got it right here.
Oh, wait, yeah, there you go. No, I see it. Yeah, it's the red bar underneath it. I always just thought that was just a red line.
Yeah, I usually forget that it's there until
that is
I
so spaced out too.
But the funny thing is, on the side of the game, it just says Persona. Nothing else.
As it should.
On the side of it, it literally... I wonder what the manual says. I'm going to pull up my manual. The manual says Revelation Series Persona.
That is so funny. Honestly, I need to check with the Last Bible, the GBA one. I wonder if that one also says Revelation Series, because like most places just call it Revelations Persona. It's like that's what's so weird about it.
What's funny is, from what I understand, when they were bringing it over, they were trying to come up with a name to differentiate it from Megaten and Shin Megami Tensei. And so they just decided, we'll just call it Revelation Series for some reason. I don't know why they chose that.
I feel less dumb now. Revelations is just called Revelations the Demon Slayer on GB Color. Like, there's no Revelation Series for that. Let me actually try to remember.
Well, no. From what I understand, the reason why it's Revelation Series is because they were going to have, like, you know how, like, all SMT games are Shin Megami Tensei something. All of the Persona games were going to be Revelations Series something.
Oh my god,
that was the original idea.
God forbid they just kept the name.
Instead. Yeah, I just love that Mark is just called Mark, even though that's. And then it's a black and white manual, so like he's the only one with a shaded face.
I wonder if like there was how long do you think the talk was with Kazuma Kaneko of like, can you just make this guy black for us? Like, do you think he was like? How black do you want? Like, do you want me to like make him stereotypically black? Do you want like Kool-Aid black, or just like I'm a cool hip guy black?
I'm guessing this was an Atlas, like North America or whatever, Atlas West decision, and they just had somebody spray him.
No. Because if you actually go to his artworks, he drew the Black Mark version. Like he did that design. Like so, someone talked to him and was like, "We need you to make him black."
Yeah, I don't know. That's bizarre. I actually did not realize that. It's been a while since I've broken open this version of the game because I think I've played like halfway through this one, and then on the PSP one I've played the Snow Queen quest and like all the way through this version.
Ooh, we do have a patron question. Oh yeah, I probably should have said this for the record, everybody, because this one's gonna look weird. This is a live show, but for patrons only. So for all the lovely Shin Megami Tensei Network patrons out there, they're listening to this live on Monday. All the freeloaders out there get it on Tuesday. So the lucky few who are donating on there get to pop in. But Cross Renner had a good question, and I've been curious about this for you as well, even though you might break my heart. Cross Renner says, have you been playing any Three Hopes?
Oh, no, I have not. And the only reason I haven't is because, like I said, I have a newborn.
That's a great excuse. If you want to talk about me, you know what? Why was I even complaining about money? Like, you want to talk about things that are expensive. Let me tell you how much a baby costs.
Very expensive. Luckily, insurance is not an issue, or else we'd be paying a lot more money. Anybody who has trouble with insurance, my heart goes out to you. So this is a hard time for having babies.
Chrissy, if you ever need more super chat donations, just take a picture and like blur out all the personal donations of like how much the delivery room charges were, because those are always like the most depressing bills. If you look at them, of like holding time $75, cleaning your baby $80.
Was shocked how much money it would cost without insurance. Like, my goodness, I don't even think you could have, like, even somebody with a good salary, I don't know how you'd afford it without insurance. Like, it's insane. I'd be like, can we do a home delivery?
Dude, I was literally talking to a coworker about that, who's like in her 3rd trimester now. It's her first kid, and she literally was like, I don't know, man, I'm kind of almost thinking about, like, should I do at-home delivery just so I don't go broke?
Yeah, it's so expensive. Like, yeah. Anyways, if you have multiple options for insurance, go with whatever the best one is the year you have a baby, and like swap it out later. Like, just pick whatever the best option is, and then after the baby's like delivered and done with that year, like then you can switch your insurance. Like, don't bother with anything lower than the best if you have options.
I bet there's like a whole unknown side of YouTube for me that's just like best baby insurance, like top 5.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to get into a depressing subject like, insurance and all that.
I don't know, man. You'd be surprised how many SMT fans are dads and moms out there.
I don't think I would be surprised necessarily.
You'd be ashamed.
You think there's not that many, or you think there's a lot?
No, I was going to say, you'd be ashamed that we're all still into these game series even though we've had multiple children. That's the thing you'd be ashamed about. I'd be like, man, we're bad parents. We would play these 90-hour games.
No. I don't do anything till my kids are asleep. That's why I have like so little time to play games.
God, your kids better fucking love Metroid, or else they're gonna get their ass beat. I bet those kids better fucking like video games. I tell you.
Honestly, I don't care if they like games or not. I let them do whatever they want. Like, like to an extent. Obviously not.
You guys want to join a cult? I got a couple cults nearby.
No. If they don't want to play games, like, that's not the end of the world for me, because then I don't have to have them fighting over who gets the inheritance, right?
Just I'll tell you what. Are you obviously with your newborn it's a little bit different, but your other kids are older. At what age were you not scared for them to touch your like video game collection stuff?
Oh, they don't touch it. No. Like, if I see them touching the games, I'm like, nope, daddy's not near you. You're not touching it. Like, nope.
Yeah, can I just suck on your original Super Metroid cartridge? I'd really appreciate just gnawing on that thing, please.
Nah, what's funny is my wife got me that. She got me that one. So,
but
the battery died on it midway through a playthrough.
Oh,
like, live stream on the channel. The battery, save state battery, just straight up died. Like so I had to restart the entire gameplay.
When you're playing a game and the battery dies mid-play, like, does the game keep going, or like what happens?
Oh no, the battery dies. Then once you turn it off, the memory, like, you don't know the battery's
okay,
dead.
Yeah, that's I was wondering, like, if it errors out while you're playing it, if it died, or like if it's like a Game Boy game where you can keep playing it, you just can't save and nothing will be there.
That's exactly it, yeah. But the funny thing was, it corrupts all the saves. So when you replace the battery and you log back into it, you'll have like it'll show like 0 energy. It's like if you were able to actually load the game, Samus would die immediately the second you load in. And it'll put you in like weird places. So like everything is corrupted. If you're lucky like me, though, it doesn't even load. It just says corrupted file and goes back to the load screen. That's fun. Mm-hmm. I wanted to record Samus loading in and dying for fun, but it wouldn't even let me get that far.
Oh my gosh.
So you basically have to clear all the save files when you replace the battery in order to even start it again.
Chris, let me tell you, speaking about like money, like I have a lot of items that I sold, but like it's hard for me to like get rid of things that like I could get rid of without killing myself for. Like, probably like one of the rare games I sold recently was I sold JoJo Bizarre Adventure on PS3, and like that was a really rare PS3 game for a long time in North America because that was a Amazon exclusive. Literally, I don't care. It's going to be republished like with more content on PS4 and 5 next month. So like if I can get $90 for that right now, like, and the game's going to cost $50 in September on a console I will use it on. Like, why not get rid of the other one? Like, and like I love JoJo and stuff for it, but like I don't have like this massive JoJo collection that like I could worry. But like there are things of like literally everyone listening right now, go to eBay or Mercari or wherever, or like PriceCharting.com. Look at how much the Metroid Samus Returns new 3DS XL costs, and I was like looking at my 3DS, being like, I could sell that. That goes for so much. Like that goes for so, because I didn't realize how like that's like one of the most expensive 3DS systems out there, because it was like literally one of the last ones.
$50.
Oh my god!
I was like a couple years ago, I was like, maybe I want a new 3. It's like, nah, I don't want the red one though. It's Samus on it. Like I just want a
It's
orange.
Black. It's Samus orange and yellow.
Well, no, the picture that I was sent.
Oh, it does look red. In pictures, it does look way more red. It is very Samus in person, but yeah, like that one was a tough one. Like of just like. Especially because I have I'll say this was a weird one, because I have so many 3DSs, I was like, I could probably get rid of one or two, but because most of mine are all limited editions, the only non-limited edition one I have is my very first 3DS, and I thought about it, I was like, I wouldn't want to get rid of it, because it is a fun piece of history, even though I hate...
Does it have the Ambassador on it, or no?
No, I literally got it after the Ambassador, because I didn't want to pay the full $250, so I got it with the price cut, but... Nice. I don't know, like, what happened. Maybe I was, like, fucking throwing them out, like, for chump change, or anytime a friend needed one, I would just give it to them. I have 6 3DSs and 1 3DS charger. None of the other ones I have with chargers. I'm like, I only have 2 new 3DSs, so I should have 4 chargers. But I've apparently sold all of but 1 off. So like,
That's funny.
I don't know how that happened. It was like, well, I can't sell a system without the charger. I mean, I could technically do it and like get like less for it or whatever. But like, it was one of those things like that. At least stopped me from wanting to like sell them. Of like being like, and I mean, I'm glad I didn't. Like, I like having my systems, and even like the dumb ones, like the original 3DS. Like, I think that is a terribly designed system. Like, I think it's really clunky, really ugly, but like, because it was my first 3DS, I have like those memories tied to it. I'm like, well, I'll keep you ugly so-and-so.
Yeah, no, you know what's funny? Do you keep the app? Do you have an app called Gameye? Do you have that one or no?
No, what's that?
So I have this app called Gameye, and it essentially is a index for all of your games with current prices from Video Game Price Chart. And I constantly monitor that, and if any of the games I don't care about rise above a certain amount of money, I will put it on eBay.
Do you have a recent example of one that you were surprised was expensive? Because I have a good one that I recently just sold. I was shocked goes for so much.
I had the PSP version of Jeanne d'Arc, which is the only version actually.
Ooh, yeah.
And I paid like $5 for it, complete in a Saran wrap at like a garage sale. And it went up to like 150, and the digital version was like $10. So I was like, yeah, that's an easy choice. Because I don't have like any actual nostalgia for the game. I got it like way after it came out because it was a Fire Emblem style game. Or like Fantasy Tactics.
Well, that's one of those weird ones of like, that's like a lot of PSP games that Sony published, Sony printed millions of. So a lot of Sony games aren't rare. Like Little Big Planet, Siphon Filter, like even God of War, like none of those games are rare because there are so many printed. But yeah, like that was one that I remember.
I think it's Japan Studio made that one actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like that one was a pretty expensive one. But like one I was surprised about, and I don't know if you remember this. This is an old PlayStation 1 series. Do you remember Deception?
Yeah.
So Deception 4 had a 1.5 sequel. I guess it would have been Deception 4.5, called The Nightmare Princess. So Deception 4 launched on 3DS and Vita, and then its expansion was 3DS, Vita, and PS4, but in the West it was only ever available physically on PS4. And I bought the PS4 version originally because I liked Deception, and I wanted a physical way to play it, even though I enjoyed playing the Vita version more. And then later on in life, I found out there was a Asian English version for Deception for the Nightmare Princess, so I have both the original and the expansion physically, and I had this PS4 version I never touched, so when I was looking at games I could sell, I looked at what like Deception 4 goes for, and it like goes for like sometimes like over $100 or so, and I'm like, really? Wow. I was like, okay, let's flip it.
Right. Yeah, I don't regret selling Jeanne d'Arc at all because after I sold it, the price has gone back down to around $50. Complete.
Oh,
that's like, I could
that's
rebuy
good. Then.
It.
That's a
for
good
half
feeling.
Of what I sold it for.
Yeah, like I don't think I've ever gotten rid of anything in a while that like I was really mad at. Like we actually, I think I talked about this either on the podcast recently or on another stream, but I remember, because like you were talking about like which games do we have physically. I don't have Persona 1 or Innocent Sin anymore on PSP. I sold those along with all my other old Atlas games to like try and like get new games back in the day, and it was one of those things where like that was just because when you're a kid you sell your current stuff to get new stuff. Like it wasn't like collecting was not as common as a thing as it was now, and it was one of those things of like I miss that I don't have those, but like I'm aware like if I really wanted Persona 1 or Innocent Sin again, I could get it. Like if I really wanted it, like if I want to play it, I have ways to play it legally. Like I have downloaded versions and stuff, but then also it's like am I going to go back and play those anytime soon?
I was probably really lucky in that when I bought all of the Persona games, it was in like a downturn where like all the prices had gone down quite a bit, or they hadn't shot up yet, I should say. Because even when I bought like Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, I got it in like 2019 or 2018 for like $50. And it was already pushing like 150 on eBay when I bought it, complete. And like somebody had no idea what they had and just said, "I'll put this on eBay." And I was like, I will take that. But the rest of the games I got, like the PSP games only went up recently. Like they were not as expensive as they are now.
Oh yeah,
like
literally
ago.
Before 2020, the PSP games. I think Persona 3 was the only one that was kind of expensive because that was really the one people wanted. But yeah, like people, you could find Persona 1 and 2 for like 30 and under for a long time.
I got the big box version of Innocent Sin, complete, brand new, for I think $35.
So I got another question, and I'd like to make this like a little test for you to like kind of test your knowledge, or at least to see how well you know the Nintendo 3DS. If you don't have any guesses, that's fine. So I have 6 3DSs. Can you guess any of them in terms of which was the special edition outside of the Metroid one? Can you think of one more that I might have had?
Do you have the Pikachu?
I don't have any of the Pokemon ones.
Okay, you got the I think there's a Super Nintendo one.
Don't have that one or the NES one.
Okay, I was gonna say okay, so you don't have that one. How about the Fire Emblem one?
Oh, I will say the Fire Emblem Fates one is a very sexy system. I don't have it.
I almost bought that. It was $50 at a
used game What are these $50 3DSs you're turning your nose up to?
Well, I didn't want a 3DS at the time. That was the problem. Like I was like, "Hey, do you guys
Hipster
have any
Chris, look at him. He was too strong to Vita Island. I understand it."
I did have a Vita. You're right. I did have a Vita at the time. Actually, we're not gonna go back into how I got into Persona, but it is a really funny story how I even got Persona in the first place. And if I hadn't, you and I probably wouldn't even be talking right now if I hadn't about Persona 4 Golden. But long story short, my guess is that you have the Persona Q model.
I do have the Persona Q model. Do you remember how you could get it in the West?
Did you have to import it, or was it a Nintendo Club exclusive?
It was originally thought that there was no way, because remember, 3DSs are region locked. So like, even though there were a lot of like sexy 3DSs that only come out in Japan, it's like, all right, if I import this thing, I'm fucking playing nothing on it. So it was a GameStop exclusive, and it was announced literally 2 months before Persona Q came out. So at a GameStop managers conference in 2014, they announced 3 exclusive 3DS XL designs. I can only remember 2 of them. One was the NES controller. One was the Persona Q model, and I'm forgetting whatever the other one was.
You probably have a Monster Hunter model too. I know there's at least one of those. No,
there are 2. There were 2. There was one for 4 Ultimate and one for a Generation.
Oh, you have the Zelda model, don't you?
Yep, I have
the Golden Zelda.
I have 2 Zelda. I was gonna say I have all of them, but I am missing. I have the Link Between Worlds Zelda model, and I have the Majora's Mask model. I don't have the original 3DS one, and I don't have the generic. Well, I guess actually there are 5 because there is a new 3DS XL one they did that was around the launch of Triforce Heroes. That's just, it's gold with a Triforce. It looks kind of lazy to me.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
And then there's also the new 2DS XL with the Hylian shield on it that like I kind of thought looked like a kiddie toy. Like it wasn't really for me.
Right, sure.
But
and then, so I've got 4 of yours now, right? 2 Zeldas, the Persona Q, and the Samus one. Do you have like a Pokemon White or Black one or something?
No Pokemon one, but I will give you this because I'd be surprised if you guess it. I have one imported system. I have the SMT4 one from Japan because I got it for a really good deal. And it actually was, even though it is region locked, it was helpful for doing Japanese eShop titles because then I could log on to the Japanese eShop and check out some like demos that way.
I've seen that one. SMT4.
It's really cool. It's got a Rorschach design where if you look at it from upside down or right side up, it has two different designs. You can see like the shadows of demons in it.
There are none on eBay in America right now.
I doubt that is true. I will. I feel like
I typed in SMT4. Maybe I need to do 4 with the number.
That's what I was thinking. It was.
I did IV. Nope, no exact matches.
I mean, maybe there's none on there, but like I feel like I saw some recently, but I might be crazy.
I'm just gonna Google it then. You Google it. Have you seen Zoolander?
Oh, it is on there. If you do Shin Megami Tensei, the number 4 3DS system, there are 2 on there. One for $324 and one for $305, both open box.
Oh no, I did see that one. Okay. That's pretty. Yeah, because it's got like a. Yeah, I know exactly. I see it now. Yeah, it's on eBay. You're right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
it's a cool looking system.
And then the other one I have is just that red one from launch.
I just have the new 3DS Gray Edition because I'm one of those idiots that bought Xenoblade Chronicles 3D before the Switch version came out.
I mean, literally Xenoblade 3D was the first way I played Xenoblade Chronicles. I never played it on Wii.
I had the Wii version, but I only pretty much play portables nowadays just because of my current situation where, like, you know, the TV is being used pretty much by everybody else except me. That's why I play everything remote play on Vita.
How much are... Oh, I'm trying to think. What is, like, your kids' go-to it's on in the background show? Are you a Bluey household? Are you a Paw Patrol house? What's going on here?
Actually, Rescue Bots.
Oh, I do know Rescue Bots.
Rescue Bots, a little bit of Blippi for my 2 youngers.
Are you aware of the Blippi controversy?
Machines. I know what he did before he was Blippi.
I cannot unsee that ever. So like, I won't say it on the stream, but like, if you don't know who Blippi is, you look it up. There's a dime a dozen of him, but he's very popular. But if you ever look up what he did, and I'll say this. Blippi, I don't know who your agent is out there or whoever is on the internet. They did a great job of scrubbing that video from the internet because
changed his name too.
Well, he changed he literally he was able
to legally changed his name.
Well, I mean that's one thing, but like literally finding that original video that they don't want you to find about it because like you can there are people who will talk about it, but finding the video was very hard. I had to go to a shady internet vendor to make that happen.
Just go to archive.org, man. Somebody archived it.
Oh, that probably would have been a little bit easier. I was afraid of archive.org. But, yeah, that was one of those funny things of now just be like, and this guy makes millions off kids and toys. I'm like, all right, man, hey, you know what? I mean, why let what you did in college determine you forever, I guess?
Hey, you know what? Persona is E for everyone, so they make millions of dollars off kids, too.
That's true. From kids to adults. That's where the K to A came from.
Yeah, K to A. That's amazing. I still can't believe they got away with that. Like, who at the... Yeah, that's a good question. Who at the ESRB saw Revelation Series Persona, that dark music to open up the game, and said, that's for kids?
Well, because most people don't know that this is what happens when you're rating a game to the ESRB. Hey, ESRB, here's our game in a 90-second video of some stuff in it that you might want to see.
On a VHS tape.
Yeah, they're like, okay, what do you think it should be? It's for kids. Okay, ship it.
They probably saw Philemon and the frickin' butterflies, and they're like, yep, it's for
kids. Dude, but I mean, how bad could a butterfly be, really?
Yeah. But I mean, like, I'm sorry. Like, nothing in the opening sequence screams at me, I bet a kid could play this. And
oh my god. I mean, I played it in 96 when I was like 3.
Okay, so here's the thing, Spencer. As an adult with children, I look at these games and I'm like, my kid ain't playing that until they get older.
That's true. I mean, my folks didn't know what was going on. I mean, but like, it was funny. Like, I was surprised at the things I was able to get rid of, and then there were other times where like, I'm surprised like how strict they were in other ways. Like, I'll never forget. Like, I got banned from playing Maximo because Maximo was too satanic because you make a deal with the devil to get like your lover back.
Okay then. All right.
It's very, very weird, but
My parents were pretty good with it. Like, if they thought there was a concern with something I was playing, they'd talk to me about it. I think I'm probably stricter on it than my parents would have been. Like, my kids won't touch this stuff until they get old enough where I think they would be able to actually distinguish between reality and the imaginary worlds that are in the games. Like, for example, my nephews were probably playing Halo far too young, but they turned out all right, so...
I'll always say this. Halo is the world's softest M for mature I've ever seen in my life. That is not an M for mature game.
Is. I mean, well, except for the blood. Like, there's a lot of blood there, and like kids don't need blood. Like, I can understand why blood and gore would be too much for a kid. I don't know what age would be acceptable, but each parent to their own.
I wonder how few curse words are in all of Halo. Like, I feel like that's not a series I hear a lot of F-bombs in.
I don't think there's a lot of F-bombs, but if you're near the Marines at certain points, you'll hear it. Like, like, there's some pretty funny explosions where you hear some pretty crazy stuff. But yeah, overall, yeah, Halo's pretty clean in the language, other than like, Sergeant Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's tradition. He has to be that way.
Oh, he's amazing. Sergeant Johnson. Like, really, that's who they should have made the Halo show about, is Sergeant Johnson. Do you know he's actually one of the OG Spartans?
Yeah. I mean, I know more about Halo lore than I probably should know for how little Halo I have overall played, but I will say, I gotta get your quick question because I could make it its own topic, but I will be good this week, I promise. Did you dip into the test fight for Infinite Co-op?
Will and I both tried, and for some reason, neither of us have an invite still in our inbox. So I'm not sure what happened there.
Well, they just stopped it, so I'm sure it'll be there probably before September. I can't imagine it's that far off.
It'll be there eventually. 343.
I was just glad that everyone I saw who tried it, it seemed to run well. So like my biggest worry was how much of a mess was it, like especially on cross consoles. My understanding was
co-op. Co-op was all hands on deck. That's why there's like no content.
Well, did you see those Forge leaks though? The Forge leaks look good.
Well, the Forge leaks. The Forge has basically been in the same state, other than a couple people working on it, since before launch, because it was all hands on deck for co-op. So if they are continuing to work on Forge, it's like a couple people total.
Can't wait to see what people think when Can't wait to see what people think when they find out that there's no map DLC. They're just going to make Halo Wars 3 first instead.
That would be... That's like a bittersweet thing, because like Halo Wars does so poorly, but I love RTS games. Mm-hmm. So like that'd be like if they were to release... Oh, that'd be like if they released Soul Hackers 2. Like, yeah, I want to play it. But
I'll say this: when Halo Wars 2 got announced, I felt similarly to when I saw Soul Hackers 2. Like, there are certain games you love that you never expect to get a sequel. Like Alan Wake was one. I was like, there is no way we are ever getting fucking Alan Wake 2, and here we are, proven wrong.
Hey, the one series that I want that I know will probably never happen is Dead Rising. Like, I constantly try to hype that up. It's never coming.
It's had so many chances though. Like, that's the thing. Like, I
love the entire series. Like, I'm probably one of the few people that's like, I enjoyed it, all of it.
I mean, I'll say this. You know what's a weird one to me? That this shows that Capcom really doesn't care about Dead Rising. They never even tried to publish Dead Rising 3 on their own. They're like, no, you're cool, Microsoft. You can just keep that as an exclusive for yourself. Like,
yeah, they never pulled it out and made it a PlayStation version or any. Like, well, to be fair though, I think they were working on a PlayStation version and then like pulled out when they killed off the entire developer that made Dead Rising. Like, what the heck were they thinking?
It's a whole weird thing, but I mean, like, honestly, like, it took PlayStation so long to even get Dead Rising 1. Like, you look at what it is now. Like, if you have a PlayStation, here are your Dead Rising games. Dead Rising 1, 2, the Frank game, not Case Zero, not Case West, and not Dead Rising 3, but you get Dead Rising 4, Frank's Big Package Edition that no one asked for.
Do you know what's even funnier about the Frank's Big Package thing? So I was reading a developer interview on that game, and they said they didn't even realize that Frank's Big Package would be a euphemism in the West.
Oh yeah, honestly, that I could see that for sure with it. But
I guess in Japanese culture, like none of what they put in there was like, oh, that's a euphemism for like him having a big package.
I'll say this though, by the way, Dead Rising 4 absolutely dropped the ball in DLC because Dead Rising 3 actually had some solid DLC. They're like Capcom Super Turbo Extra Ultimate Edition DLC pack. I loved that in Dead Rising 3. That was such a fun DLC pack.
There's a golfing DLC for 4.
Yeah, it's fine.
And Frank Rising adds like a full blown campaign piece to the original story. I'm not gonna say it's good.
Forgot about Frank Rising. There's a lot of Dead Rising 4 I've pushed back in my brain of like, no, it's okay. We can end it in 3.
They figured out how to extend Frank West in case Capcom ever comes back to it. But like
that is true.
Is Frank Rising a worthwhile DLC? If I hadn't bought the season pass, I don't know if I would have bought that DLC specifically.
Do you think Microsoft was mad that was an exclusive they paid for? Like, they paid money for... like, Dead Rising 3, no one was like, wow, way to blow you. Like, that was a fun game, at least. No one was like, dang, dude. But, like...
Dead Rising 3 is the most serious game in the series. And it actually... So, I'm like one of the only people...
I love you say that, but the first thing that pops up in my brain is the lady at the buffet boss.
I memean, yeah, there's some stupid boss. Dead Rising 3 has some of the best stupid villains of any game series I've ever played.
The psychos in 3 are so weird.
Like, you get the bodybuilder. That's not the buffet person, right?
No. The buffet person was the rascal, the lady in the rascal.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
But everyone out there, please check out Dead Rising. Enjoy the series as it does peaks and valleys, and then realize it was gone. But
so I got one more thing, just real quick.
Oh yeah.
Did you know that the Steam version of Dead Rising 2 Off the Record, the Steam version has DLC listed that you cannot buy?
Which DLC?
All of it.
I didn't even know there was DLC for Off the Record.
There is. It came, so each version of Off the Record from each different place. This is something that people today would never even realize was a thing anymore unless you buy Call of Duty. But like, it seems like everybody has their own bonus DLC that Capcom released. And then it was pretty much like a tradition for Capcom at year 1, the end of year 1, to release all the DLC for purchase shortly after year 1 was over. So like, you get an exclusive at GameStop, Target, Walmart, etc., etc., etc. And then a year later, all of it would release on each different platform. So like, you could buy the other 4 DLCs that were launch DLCs for like $1.99 a piece. So on Steam, they had it in like one package. You could buy it for like, I don't know, it's either $5.99 or $9.99 for all 5 DLC outfits, which granted you like extra stat bonuses. So apparently when it launched on Steam, you couldn't even access them because of some bug in the code. So how did Capcom fix it? Well, they fixed it for everybody who bought it, and then decided to delist it because it was so much of a hassle. It's like, what?
So you weird. Yeah, I see. I like on the Steam page, they all have extremely negative reviews because they were taken offline. That's so weird.
But for anybody that actually wants the DLC, you can still technically get it. There are still existing digital codes that are like a complete package of Off the Record on Humble Bundle.
Now, do you know if the late PS4 and Xbox One port of Off the Record, unfortunately, by the way, really sucks that was digital only. That made like no sense. They were like, we'll do 1 and 2 physical. Okay, so that has all the DLC in those ones.
I believe it does. Don't quote me on it if I'm wrong, but I do believe it.
I'll be amazed if we get one Dead Rising correction in the comments. I will be absolutely fucking flabbergasted.
I'm still planning on having a Dead Rising cast at some point because I've talked to I think his name's pronounced Stipo, but he's got like the biggest Dead Rising content channel on the platform, and he's got like 40,000 subscribers. So like, clearly the niche of Dead Rising is not big enough.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I forgot the actual best Dead Rising game. I forgot Chop Till You Drop. I don't even know why the fuck I'm hosting this podcast.
I have that too. I just never bring it up. No, the best Dead Rising game, for those that want to know, is the iOS version of Dead Rising.
Oh my god, no, not even. That's not even as a joke.
I've played it.
I've played it too, but like, it's a worse version of Chop Till You Drop.
It's not even Chop Till You Drop. It's like, there's nothing about it that actually fits the storyline. Like if you tried to play it and thinking like I'm going to get more of the story, there's nothing there. Like,
I want all of you out there
mobs,
listening,
giant
because
zombies.
I'm sure there are some people out there who may have forgotten what Dead Rising is, but I want you all to know this is a serious sentence. There are people who care about the lore in Dead Rising. I know you don't think there are, but there are people who are like, they care about the lore between those games. People like,
I do.
I'll tell you what, guys. Spoilers for Dead Rising 3 for the fucking none of you who are gonna play it. When I found out that that was Chuck's daughter, I was shook. I was actually surprised Chuck's daughter was in the game.
Oh yeah. And then on top of that, like it explained. Oh man, I'm so angry that Case West and Case Zero are like inaccessible to most people because so much lore is contained in both of those.
That's how you know.
DLCs.
That's how you know Capcom didn't respect the Dead Rising lore. They never made it
Oh my
available.
gosh. It's amazing. I love like actually. So if somebody wants to play the Dead Rising 2 DLCs, I'll tell you how to get it. You have to find a pawn shop that has an Xbox 360, or if you have one laying around, grab it, log in, go to the shop page and search Dead Rising, and you can find the DLCs in there, and they're still available to purchase, and they are completely backwards compatible with all new hardware. You just can't buy them anywhere else. Just like Left 4 Dead. If you want to play Left 4 Dead, on
Well, that's an
any
EA.
modern
Yeah,
console-
that's because of EA. Like the EA thing for Left 4 Dead makes sense. The like, the fucking like the lack of like Case West and Case Zero like makes no sense to me at all.
That's true. There's nothing preventing Capcom from selling those forward. There's nothing.
It's
preventing them.
I'm sure it is like probably something, especially because there was money that traded hands. Like there's no PC version of Case West or Case Zero. Like I'm sure Microsoft paid for those to be exclusive, but hard to
Do
say.
you know why hackers never ported it to the PC?
Oh, why?
Because of what is the program called? I think it's Xenia. It's the Xbox 360 emulator for PC. I think it's Xenia. But you can actually just download the DLC and play it that. Like, don't do it. It's illegal. But you can. It is playable on Xenia, I believe. That's the only reason it never got like a computer port from hacking. Because the files are available online if you know where to look. They exist somewhere.
Well, you know what? That was actually a great segue, a very long segue, but it's still a good segue nonetheless.
I know. We're finally to the subject at hand. You should probably put a timestamp that we're actually talking about.
Oh,
Persona 2.
timestamps on that. I don't know what show you think we're on. But yeah, so Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, as we kind of talked about in the beginning of the show, finally, thanks to, at least according to GitHub, Sayuchin put out the English patch for Eternal Punishment on PSP. So, a little bit of history for all of you guys who might not know. Back on the PSP, Atlas first did Persona 1 as a remake. Oh, sorry, no.
Yep.
Persona, I think it went, was it
No, it was
3-1
1
or was it 1-3?
It was 1-3.
1-3, 2-2, yes. So, they did...
And in the background, supposedly, there is a demo of Persona 4 that was originally going to be on the PSP as well.
That I know, like, they tooled around with it, but I know Sony nipped that in the bud because they were like, please make a game on the Vita. And they were like, hey, this thing isn't pirated to hell, so we'll gladly do that.
Yes, exactly.
Actually,
So
also...
I think there is a playable demo of Persona 4 internally at Atlas somewhere.
I will at least say this, by the way. Shout out to me for being a bad fan. Can't forget the very first Atlas game on PSP, the Japanese exclusive Devil Summoner 1.
I actually didn't know that. Is it translated at all? I know it exists somewhere else. But...
I think there's a translation. I mean, it's literally the Saturn version, so I know there's a translation of that. I'm not sure if it's on PSP. I'm sure it is, because it is literally just a port of the Saturn version with like a couple of bells and whistles. But yeah, so Devil Summoner, then PS1, the PlayStation 1 version of Persona 1 was then remade into a very different game. Then there was P3P, which obviously you guys all know about. And then for the Persona 2 duology, they kind of did more of a just remaster of re-recording and keeping the original game story and art style and kind of vibe intact, unlike 1. And we got Innocent Sin for the first time due to that PSP version, since we never got it on PlayStation 1. But because Atlas Japan didn't deem it as financially viable, we never got Eternal Punishment. Because remember, Eternal Punishment literally came out the same year as Golden.
It also came out after the Vita had already released.
Which was, it was that thing of just like, why would you? Yeah, I was like, why would we do this? Obviously, there were companies still releasing PSP games for a long time after that, but like, it was one of those things of like, from their perspective, it definitely makes sense, but it sucks because like, it is such a great game that so many Atlas fans never got to experience. And what was so funny is like, people like I forget the name of the team who was working on a, because like obviously this is the weird thing with like fan translation teams. You never know if you're the only one working on something unless like you are all out there publicly.
CJ Iwakura. That's what you're thinking of.
So like the funny thing is like this, what like people thought, oh, maybe this is that team's version. No, this isn't. This is just someone else like basically brought the original script of Eternal Punishment and then took assets of the new scenario translation and put it in here. And what's so funny about it?
They did do a pretty significant edit to the original translation.
No. It is definitely edited, but it is that thing of like, it's not like they straight up translated and localized the whole game. It is definitely a translation.
Right.
So it is one of those interesting things of like, if you want to have the game playable, this is the easiest way to have it playable. Obviously, if you have an emulator, you know how to do that. We're not going to give you links on how to download ROMs and use the thing with it, but there are many, many easy tutorials and stuff out there if you want to play it. But Chris, I kind of want to like give it to you real quick of like, what did you think when you heard this news, and what was the process like actually getting that running on your native PSP like?
So, a long time ago, when I found out that the Iwakura team was working on the translation patch, I actually like ripped my UMD directly off my PSP to the memory card and ported that file to my computer. I'm not going to explain how to do that, but I have a legitimate backup of my original game. And I was waiting for that patch. Like I had it ready to go, waiting for the patch. The file itself was like 1.3 gigs. And after I applied the patch, which is super easy, just download it from wherever you can find it. Not going to tell you where, but Google it. It actually reduced the file size to like 700 megs. I was like, what? Like, what efficiency did they add that dropped the file to like half the size? Like, that's insane. But it was just a .exe. It was like, boom, done. And then I loaded it back to my memory card, put it back on my PSP, and boom, I have a backed up English version now. Super easy. About as easy as it gets.
So shout out to Jagingus in the chat. Apparently, there is no English. Yeah, they are still working on the fan translation for the PSP one for Devil Summoner. I'm trying to see if this is. Yeah, it has a preview, but it is not done yet. I'd seen so many things about it for so long. I always kind of like thought that, oh, I'm sure it was kind of done similarly, ironically, to Persona 2. But yeah, so Devil Summoner not officially ready for you yet. But hey, who knows at this point? Maybe this will like speed people up. I will say, to get the quick little because there was like I feel like maybe for like 3 hours there was a thing of like, oh, why did they the team the team who had announced it, like, what was it? What'd you say? It was CJ's or what was it?
It was Iwakura Productions.
Iwakura Productions.
He's been working on this forever, and then he got like essentially snubbed last minute without even knowing he was getting snubbed.
I mean, like, I wouldn't call that snubbed. Like, my thing is this.
No, like, he's basically, I think he knows the guy that did it. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna. This isn't a drama thing or anything.
No.
I think they know each other. And he may have at one point worked with CJ, so like it is kind of like a snub because he didn't even know they were working on it. But it's not a snub because nobody released it yet. Like, you can't snub something. Like, if CJ's was ready to go,
exactly. Like, if they had it ready, ready to go like a week from now, yeah, that would have made more sense for it. But like, for me, the reason I don't view this as like a big deal or a snub is because, like, for me, I look at this like, listen, you guys are all trying to do the same thing to just make a translation of this game playable for English speakers. Whoever gets it out first doesn't matter. We're not going to call this like the CJ patch, or we're not going to call this like the Sayu patch or whatever. Like, it's just going to be a patch people download. Like, it's not a like who gets dibs for this or like who's taking credit, because like exactly. At the end of the day, we're here to play the game. We're not looking for.
I will shout out everybody that worked on a patch. Like, shout out to all these.
Oh, no. It definitely, like, it deserves a shout out in terms of the work done for it, but it's not a thing of like, oh dang, you did it before. Like, because like, I was talking about this with Gnarly, and I'm curious what you would think. If you were if you and me, if we were working on this team for that translation, and someone else's translation came out, that would motivate me to want to make ours come out even better and faster. I'd be like, hey man, let's pull up our bootstrap. Like the fact that they just put out that letter and were like, hey, this is the version. We're disassembling the team. I'm like, dude, like if you really had a product you were proud of, you would not have just given it up because someone else got in first place.
Oh, no. I have some behind the scenes information in case you're curious.
Please.
But as much as I'm only going to share a little bit. Let's put it this way: the hacker CJ does the translation work.
Because you have to, because like you can't just we can't just like put Google paste like text on top of it. Like you have to actually like mess with the code to get it all in there.
At least this is my understanding. Because I've talked to CJ a few times. Not a lot. He's got his own Discord and stuff. I don't know if it's still active, but he had a Discord back when I was talking to him. Nuked it. He might have. I don't know. But basically, what I understand is the hacker that he was working with is in one of the currently war-torn countries, and so he has better things to worry about than the Eternal Punishment patch. So it's been very slow-moving, and that might be why he disbanded the team, because there's no end in sight to the current conflicts over there.
Yeah, and I mean, I can get that as well, and then and I can definitely see it being frustrating. Of like, hey, wouldn't it be easier if we all, instead of like working separately, like did stuff like together? And it is like understandable in those situations. But like, I think at the end of the day, if our biggest takeaway should be this: hey, it's out and people are enjoying it. Like that's really it. Like obviously people are still going to be like fine tuning it and like updating it in the background, but like it's been really nice. Even though I think it released. By the way, I'll say this: I don't know if you agree. What a terrible time to release this. Like the week after Live Alive, the week before Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm like, okay, you are where like no one's gonna remember this. But like
the thing is though, if somebody wants to play Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, that patch is out there for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not a thing that like we're not worrying about it affecting sales because it's not being sold.
It's not like a Nintendo fan game that Nintendo's going to put out a cease and desist. Like Atlas is never going to touch this. They don't care. It's a patch.
Okay, they
can't legally touch it. They can't legally touch the patch. The only thing they could do is find every site where
they could cease and desist and ask them to take the patch down. There is because that was another thing I was going to bring up that I thought was interesting. This happening along with all the Persona 3 mod announcements recently, which by the way, like I loved like them making like a bunch of like these like fancy Persona 3 mods, like getting trailers, like they're announcing like for like games and stuff. I just think it's like really funny because like literally the Persona 3 one, I am like as soon as those have dates on PC, I am guaranteeing you that one of those projects are getting a cease and desist from Atlas Japan. Because, like, if Atlas Japan is only selling Persona 3 Portable, and they're offering all of these other versions on PC and HD for free with all these other things with it, like, when Atlas, because, like, they are now reselling Persona 3, and then this mod, which literally is not part of the game they're selling at all, is then going to be available around the same time and free. Oh yeah, that's cease and desist material. Like, that's like AMS, like, that's like another Metroid 2 remake, like, level of cease and desist.
Here's the thing. And Nintendo has learned this too. If a mod that exists contains none of the original source code and all it does is modify somebody's version of a source code, legally there's nothing they can do about it.
True.
So this Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, I'm assuming, is some kind of a script that just modifies what's out there. So basically Atlas, there's nothing that they own in the script. So
yes and no. This goes back to the Metroid thing as well, but Atlas could do the exact same thing. Your script is not basically impacting our game we are selling. Like, let's say they are going to release Persona 1 and the 2 duology and the Revelation series collection next year. Like, then that makes their lawyer start sniffing around, and they find this translation that they want to get off because, hey, we're trying to resell this on consoles and PC. This is what they would all have to say. This translation being out here is affecting and causing either confusion or damage to our intellectual property because we own this intellectual property and this thing you have put out there affects our intellectual property that you have no ownership of, and it is out there and this could affect our sales. We can make it disappear because of that. And it's like, now remember, this is not a right or wrong thing. This is them sending the cease and desist saying that, which then is just saying, hey, we have lawyers. If you have lawyers, meet us in court or put this away, because that's how all these go. Like everyone,
it's like
all of them know. All of them know no one's going to lawyer up with Nintendo. No one's going to lawyer up with Sega and Atlas, because at the end of the day, it is a morally gray area. But at the end of the day, if they can out-lawyer you until you're poor, they know that you're just going to take the easy route and just take it off your website.
So, I think that old school Atlas would do what you're saying. I think new school Atlas, who's owned by Sega, is more likely to go the Sonic Mania route and like either pay them off to take it down or hire them.
Okay, so even though Sega owns Atlas Japan is still
kind of operates independently.
Exactly. Atlas Japan is still very much Atlas Japan. So like their lawyers are way more litigious than like we don't like there are not social media posts when a Sonic game comes out saying if you stream our music we're suing you. Like that no, like true. their whole thing is very much of like we pretend like
is that a Shoji Meguro thing or is that an Atlas thing?
That is strictly an Atlas thing because like they go out of their way, like that's why if you look at the box of like any Atlas game it has that little Next Tone logo on it because they literally use a company just to pull sounds just to make sure you're not making any money off of their music.
God, I gotta look now and see if it's on there. I don't see it on P3P.
No, Next Tone didn't start appearing on boxes till P5R. So it's been there since 2019 and on.
So it's not even on Persona 5 then, is it?
No, not original Persona 5. Version. But I mean, like, let's be fair. Streaming Persona 5 was not really... Remember they had that whole thing they put out there saying, like, if you stream Persona 5 after this chapter, we're coming after you, Billy.
I still can't believe they did that. Like, what company does that?
Well, reminder, they never even let you stream it after like the first opening like little segment for it. Where like at least if you don't want like spoilers of your game and you want to block a cutscene or two, I definitely understand that. But like the fact that like they never went back and repatched it, like the only thing you can stream in Persona is the title screen and literally the first 5 minutes of the game, and then it blocks the entirety of the whole thing.
From a PS4, yes. Yeah. But if I stream it using my Elgato, I'm good. I can do it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, the legality thing is always a weird gray area, and yeah, I don't want to get too hung up on that, but like I legitimately like would not be surprised if next year with the Persona 3 projects or if the ports of 1 and 2 happen, like these are prime subjects for a cease and desist. Now, if anything happens, obviously that's always like up to suggestion for it, but obviously much like another Metroid 2 remake, just because it's scrubbed from the internet doesn't mean it's actually like unlike the Blippi clip, you can still find downloads for the another Metroid remake. Like you'll always be able to find this because people can store it, people can share it privately, like all those other ways for you like to get it with it. So like it's not going to be like that much of a worry, you know?
Yeah, and usually what you'll find is a third party will archive it to the web archive, whatever it's called, .org, and almost anything that you think isn't available is probably on archive.org, which is protected by like a completely different thing. It's like, this is art, we want to preserve it, and therefore it's on archive.org. And you have to try
really,
or whoever owns it to get
you have to try really hard to get something taken off archive.org. Like you've got to really like get your lawyers in a tizzy.
For example, almost the entire 3DS eShop is backed up to archive.org. Like almost the entire thing.
Do you remember like when like Nintendo? Do you remember like when Nintendo was coming up to them because like they don't care about the 3DS stuff as much really because like they're not making any money off of that. But like when like they had emulators playable in the archive.org, like hey, do you want to just play every NES game ever? Here you go.
Yeah. No, that's there's definitely. Having the games backed up for preservation of art purposes makes sense to me. Because if Nintendo's not even going to do it, like somebody should. Mm-hmm. But if you're downloading these games and not paying Nintendo, like Nintendo's like, hey, we want our cut. Like we want that money.
You don't want to be like that one Bowser guy who like owes Nintendo now like $8 billion or something.
The thing is, like, archive.org, I don't think is owned by a specific person. So, like, who's Nintendo going to go after? The U.S. government? Which, by the way, they've done before. Did you know that?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
They went after Nintendo because Nintendo went after the U.S. government because like some government website had music from a Nintendo game as the backdrop for like one of their slideshow things. I don't remember what it was. Oh no, there was a modified playable copy of like Sim City on a government website. That's what it was. And they sued them because they just ripped Sim City and like made their own version.
Classic.
Can you believe that?
Classic Nintendo.
All right. So Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. This is the most anime opening to a Persona game that exists. I love it.
Yet. Give them time. Give them time. They'll outdo it eventually. I believe in them.
Well, everybody says next Persona is going to be green, and I'm like, well, that's great because, green screens and all that. But anyways, Persona 2 Eternal Punishment is probably my favorite Persona game other than maybe 4. That's legit.
I had a thought recently with chat when I was live streaming this with Gnarly, or Gnarly was live streaming this, and I was talking with him while he was playing it. I think Eternal Punishment, in my opinion, and a lot of other people definitely agreed, like this is the hardest Persona, by the way.
The PSP version isn't the hardest. The original.
It's actually, well, we actually got into this. It is harder in the PSP version than the original. There's more difficulty and accessibility options to make it easier, but if you're comparing if you're comparing normal versus normal on PS1, it is harder on PSP.
That's true because the PSP version is made for a Japanese audience, which means they can make it harder. Whereas the PS1 version was the dumbed down American version. So yeah, it probably is slightly easier. The Japanese market is more willing to accept a very hard game.
So I was curious for you, how do you feel like it holds up difficulty-wise while playing? Because like I definitely wasn't like getting my like butt cheeks clapped or whatever with it. Like I'm not Gnarly who's playing everything on hard for the first playthrough with it, but like it was one of those things that like, oh yeah, it's definitely like it's a nice challenge. Like I like having that thing of like, hey, you gotta keep on your toes. Like you don't want to just kind of feel like you're on autopilot playing these games.
I'm just glad that Atlas didn't remove the always on defense hack that I like to use for the original Persona 2 games. You know what I'm talking about?
It enlightened me?
I'm hoping you know this, because otherwise I'm going to feel stupid that I know this and other people don't. But
I mean, it's 10:30 at night. My brain's melted from like work all day, so I'll use that as an excuse.
Literally, in the PS1 version, I learned this, and also in Innocent Sin. In between every single party attack, you can hit back and then switch everybody to defense. And then literally they can't hurt you almost at all.
Oh, yep. I see that. I see that actually right now. Yeah, there's a GameFAQs board about it. Yeah, I forgot all about this.
So like when I play the Persona 2 games, I use that liberally, very liberally, because
extra funny. Not only did they leave it in the Persona 2 games, they left it in both. That's the best.
Yes. Yeah, they did. I really like that because otherwise I get destroyed if I don't grind. It actually takes away the reason you need to grind in these games is by using that back and then boom, everybody's in defense. It takes a lot longer to finish every single battle that way. Mm-hmm. So I usually save it for boss fights, and that's about it. Especially if I'm getting my, cheeks clapped, as you say. I definitely am not going to be sitting there and playing the boss battle 10 times because it's like, 10 hours of my time.
And I mean, honestly, like little tactics like that are kind of nice to know. Like you can choose to use it or not as much as you want that way.
I only use it if I get completely wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, in the PS1 version of Eternal Punishment, I got to a part. It's the part where you're fighting the 3 mechs, the 3 robots, whatever you want to call them. The Führer's minions. Not the Führer's minions. My goodness, not the Führer. Tetsuzu Sudo, his minions, which in Innocent Sin would have been the Führer's minions. Anyways, long story short, those robots wrecked me hard because I had absolutely no personas because I wasn't using a guide that were equipped to fight them, and I was saved literally right there. So I had to grind for like 12 hours of grinding, sitting right outside that door, so that my personas would be over leveled enough to fight them.
Don't you love it? That's how you want to play games. Isn't that like the way games were designed to be played?
if this storyline wasn't as good as it is, there's no way I would have done that. But the storyline is that good. Like Eternal Punishment is one of the best written stories in the Persona series.
And I will say, it is a shame that we never actually got them to redo the voice acting and too. Like, it's fine in the PS1 version, but man, I would have loved to have like seen the English dub for Eternal Punishment be redone too.
You know, I wonder if there's enough voice acting in the PS1 version that you could rip.
Oh, definitely. You could definitely, but that would just take so much more work as well, but I'm sure that will.
I mean, they ripped a lot of Catherine's stuff and put it on the Vita version.
Oh no, yeah, like I said, like it's a thing that'll definitely happen, but it's more of a matter of when and like if along with it.
Like that is something that would be worthwhile. Like if Atlas doesn't put a cease and desist out there, like that'd be a really cool. I own both copies, so like for me, there's no legality there to do my own version of the mod. But like for somebody who doesn't own both and is trying to do it, like I could see Atlas being like, "Hey, how about no?" Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, like my opinion, like maybe played like less than 5 hours of it altogether. Like I literally was just like inundated with like let's be honest, folks. If you got Soul Hackers 2 and Eternal Punishment in English, you're gonna play the new thing. So like I would love to.
No, I'd probably be playing Eternal Punishment personally.
Okay, let me just try that for the because I need to cover the new thing. That's why I should play the new thing.
You have to cover it. I don't have like that. I guess that's the beauty of what I do. I don't do reviews, so like for me, they're not going to give me a free copy in the first place.
Hey, not with that attitude.
I mean, there are reviews in the future on this channel. They're just
when's that Metroid Other M review coming?
When I finish, so I do have a fully scripted and written NES Metroid script, and I have plans to record it soon, and I have all the footage I need because I played it on stream, so that is coming at some point, as well as Metroid 2. But I'm playing them in release order. So the reviews are going to come in release order. So Metroid Other M's got a long way to go. Mm-hmm. That won't be for probably a decade. But anyways, long story short, Super Metroid, for those that love that game, I don't. So that's going to be an interesting review.
Just well, I mean, I was gonna say you could just make a bunch of jokes that they're all old and out of touch, but it's like, no, you're not the youngest spirit yourself, so you're probably not gonna fly on that one too hot.
No, there are some things about Super Metroid that don't hold up at all.
Let me tell you how fun it is to learn with no internet explanation or person in front of you wall jumping. Let me tell you how fun and non-painless that whole experience is.
Wall jumping is... So here's a funny story. The stream I did with my brother-in-law for wall jumping, just for fun for everybody, we had to relearn wall jumping like 100 times. And then that's like the only place where wall jumping is like required to get through the game. So like if you don't get through it, it's like trial by fire. You are just burning for like an hour trying to figure out wall jumping. And I've done it, that same exact learning experience, like 3 times now, because I've replayed the game like 3 times through that part.
Oh my god.
That is the worst experience for a new Metroid player you could ever introduce somebody. So anybody who played it on the SNES back when it came out, I feel for you.
Well, I will say, at least, like, kind of going into like the learning curve talk, I feel like Eternal Punishment still holds up extremely well as like a modern like Persona game for people to, like, to check out, even if it's their like first one.
I was thinking that exact same thing earlier. Like Persona 1 doesn't really hold up.
No,
like
especially
dungeons.
Revelations. Like you just give someone Revelations Persona as their first RPG, like it like,
if
good luck.
Didn't have the cultural reference of being the first Persona game, nobody would go back and play that.
Because like even other things like Dragon Quest 1 and Final Fantasy 1 are amazingly hold up surprisingly well.
Yeah, I mean the fact even the PSP version, I don't even if somebody asks like should I play Persona 1 and they like Persona 5, I'm just like maybe you should try 2 first, and if you really like 2, then I would say fine, try 1. But like if you don't like old school, especially first person dungeon crawlers, if you're not into that, it's not that you don't even try it. Like there's no point. But Persona 2, I can wholeheartedly just say, yeah, if you like a grind fest and a JRPG, play it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really hard time recommending first-person Persona 1 to anybody. I'm like, just go watch somebody else play it.
I've definitely recommended it to people, very few as their first, but like I think for people who are more kind of accustomed to that like first-person like dungeon crawler mentality, like there are definitely ones out there.
Old school SMT or even the original Megaten games, yes, play Persona 1. It'll feel like the same, kind of, except it's Persona. Or if you were really into SMT, I guess, then yes. Play Persona 1.
Man, one of these days I'll find someone who's a Western fan who their first game was F. Like, I need to know like what happened. Like, where did this? What was this person's like dark timeline?
My first SMT game was If, but I didn't play very much of it.
I was gonna see this. This is a weird one. Whew, God, excuse me. It's like getting there. It's Better Call Saul time soon, everybody.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Eternal Punishment.
This was supposed to be a short one, and we're
an hour and 20 minutes. This is still pretty spiffy for us. But
okay.
I was gonna say like. I love like where this is at with it, because if anything, this just makes me more confident that like I really think if you bundle 1 and the 2 duology and price them at a 30 would be great, but I think realistically 40 or 50 might be what they really do. Like
if Atlas releases 3 games together, it's going to be $60.
No way.
Doubt.
They are not crazy enough to do 60 for these 3, because like they might think it's worth, like in Japan it might be, but like because I'm imagining like if there's any way we get these, it's just the PSP version. There's no way it's going to be any more. Like even if they added an English dub to Eternal Punishment, no way it's 60. Not a chance in hell.
I bet it's $50.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it's $50. If they do English dub, it'll be $50.
This also screams digital only to me, which I think would absolutely kill it. So hopefully that's not the case. By the way, shout out, because like Evo is going to happen in between this episode and next. Evo announced all of the companies who will be announcing news at that con. Atlas is not there. Technically, Arc System Works will be there. They could announce rollback for Ultimax. I am highly suspect that will not happen. So like, once Evo passes and they don't announce anything about rollback, like if they don't immediately have a statement for it, it's not like. It sucks because like it's not like it's never happening, because like they have to do it unless they cancel it. That'd be fucking wild. But like I don't think people are aware of it, because like, I'm gonna do a video soon, but I'm just waiting till Evo happens just so I really know nothing is coming soon. Like, and also I did reach out to Atlas just to be like, hey, do you have a comment? Because I'm gonna put out a video basically calling you out for not doing shit. But like I don't think people know how dead Ultimax is. Like, if you go into Ultimax, nobody is playing online. Fucking no one. It's like Anthem levels of no one's playing this shit.
Honestly, though, you know what will bring a resurgence? Like, they released that at the exact wrong time.
The worst time.
The only way that game sells well is if you either bundle it with Golden, or you release it after people have had a chance to play Golden on their consoles.
Yeah, like, I could see them doing, like, because obviously they did it with Steam, but then obviously next year when Golden comes to other stuff as well, yeah, it'll get a resurgence for that, but not in any meaningful way in terms of competitively, because competitively is really what's going to keep that alive and stuff for it, but, like, it is just so funny of, like, that's a game that literally came out 5 months ago, and I bet half of our listeners completely, if you even remembered to buy it, which, by the way, I wouldn't make you feel bad, because like it was a great port for $30, but like again, like Chris said, terrible time, absolutely terrible time.
I have every version of that game, every version except for the Japanese release. I didn't buy that.
It's very cheap.
I wasn't crazy enough to go that
still
route.
Very cheap.
This is what I'm looking at on my computer right now, my computer desk.
What a humble brag. By the way, what is that keyboard in front of you?
Oh, I have a MIDI keyboard for music.
I was just gonna say, is like, are you rocking the MIDI keyboard? That thing is looking nice.
Actually, somebody challenged me when I took a bunch of pictures of my Xbox controllers to program the MIDI keyboard to play Halo Infinite, And let me just tell you, I was successful at playing Halo Infinite with a piano keyboard.
Oh my god.
It was a pain to do.
So
and my computer still doesn't quite control right for some Steam games because of it.
That was the repercussions you had for having the gall to play with the MIDI. But I've got a couple of questions for us. Then I have a fun idea for how we can wrap this up and try and get us out here in a timely manner. I did have one more
thing to ask you real quick.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Did you know that you can actually play every single version of every single game on the Vita?
I think you might need to say what game series you're talking about.
Oh, not every single. I'm sorry, every single version of the first 3 Persona.
There we go. I was gonna be like, you just be like, on the Vita, you can play every game ever.
No, I was just thinking about it. Like, so for example, you can get all of the PSP, especially if you have a Japanese one. Japanese one would make it even better, but you can play all of the Persona games. One through one, Eternal Punishment. If you have a Japanese version, because I think the PSP version is available on the Japanese eShop or
it
PSN
is. Yep.
Shop.
Mm-hmm.
But long story short, you can play Revelation series Persona via the PS3 Remote Play on your Vita or even your PSP if you have the disc.
Yo, PSP Remote Play, garbage. That is such a bad experience.
I have played PSP Remote Play because back when Remote Play was announced, there was a few games you could do it with.
Oh, do you remember the PSP PS3 games with Remote Play?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember there were even fewer of this? There were a literally I think it's like less than 3. There are some PS3 games that had exclusive Vita Remote Play.
Yes, Eco and the Shadow of the Colossus is one of them.
I thought it was only one of them. I thought it was like only like either Eco or like maybe like I don't think it was also Shadow. No. I can double check.
That's a dual game disc.
Oh, I know it was together. That's what I thought. I think one of them was weird, but I'm pulling up the list now.
So if one of them isn't available to play, it's definitely Eco, and I can tell you why. It's because Eco is supposed to be a PS1 game, and it's technically a lower resolution than Shadow of the Colossus.
Okay, let's see what games we have. So I found a little.
So Eco is one of the few PS2 games that cannot be output in component video at all. Like if you put Eco into your PS2 and you try using component cables, your screen is blank. You can't even do it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you knew that, but a lot of people watching might not know.
A lot of people might be asking, what the fuck is Remote Play? By the way, I will say this. Oh my god, this is an absolutely insane list of games that are applicable. I'm gonna have to show you this to you. So, by the way, while talking about this, I definitely need to talk about it. So, well, not talk about it. I definitely need to do this. So, I doubt anyone is going to do this. I should definitely, by the time previews go up, bust out my PS4, hook it up just so I can test Soul Hackers 2 Remote Play, because I bet that fucking is an amazing way to play that game.
Oh, I bet, yeah. That's probably the way I'll play it, honestly.
Let me see here, though.
So here's the thing I'm looking forward to, though, is the Steam Deck will have access to Windows, which means that I could load PS Remote Play and play games that are meant for the Vita on the Steam Deck.
So
via Remote Play.
Oh, no, definitely. So the list was larger than I thought, but not that big.
I know that the PSP could play mostly PS1 classic.
PSP was even less. So this is the PS Vita to PS3 games, and I found the whole list thanks to r/Vita. So thank you, Reddit.
It's also on Wikipedia.
The list was longer on this one. That's why I figured I'd go for this one, because all these at least made sense with it. So I'm sure out there with it. But here are all of them, because it's just short enough and weird. And some of them are these don't even make sense why one of these are here and not all of them. So Anarchy, Rush Hour, Aqua Vita, Aquatopia, Bejeweled 2. Shout out to playing Bejeweled 2 on PS3 with your PS Vita Remote Play.
I'm on the same link you're on right now. Yeah, I see exactly.
Bionic Commando, Rearmed, not 2, just Rearmed 1. Blaze Blue Calamity Trigger, which, by the way, the Vita already had Calamity Trigger. You could just play that natively, but if you wanted to play it remote play, there you go. Feeding Frenzy 2, God of War HD Collection, which was extra funny because 2 years later they would just port that to Vita. Gundamonium Recollection, High Stakes Poker, Hitogaka Happa, which is like a Japanese game. It was both Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, so it was both.
So here's the thing that you didn't point out, though. Mm-hmm. Some of these are download only, and some of these are disc and download. True.
What's another one here?
Some of them are only disc.
Yeah, like Lair and Lego Batman only work with the disc because they never updated the digital one. Shout out, by the way, because everyone forgets about this. Little Big Planet 2 had a whole DLC level pack tied to the Vita. Like, where you, like, before Little Big Planet was on Vita, they had a Little Big Planet pack. Peggle Knights, Pixel Junk Eden, Monster, Shooter, which is funny because besides Eden, all those got native ports on Vita. Play TV, another like BBC thing. Retrograde, Robotics Notes, which is a Japanese visual novel. Zuma.
Imagine doing no. You skipped a really important.
No. I was saving that one for last because that's the one that meant the most to me because I used SingStar because you would use it because obviously you weren't singing into your Vita, but you could just use it as a way to like pass the controller and queue up songs. But also.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, it was an exclusive way to play it. So, I'll explain SingStar last, because SingStar was weird. But Zuma, another, like, PopCap game. Tokyo Jungle was fine, but Tokyo Jungle looked really bad on Vita Remote Play because it was already kind of a low-resolution game. But Tokyo Jungle is cool. But, SingStar was interesting because it was a whole app basically designed around it where it would detect it was the Vita, and it would give you a unique UI and experience, which I think still works, but it might not because they updated SingStar a bunch before they abandoned it. But it was just extra funny because, like, SingStar, I would have multiple nights of people coming over in karaoke parties. Like, I spent so much fucking money on SingStar. And, like, the funniest thing about it was, like, it would be that thing of, like, you would queue up who does what next, who does what, and other things like that. And it was so funny of, like, people, like, that was the thing of, like, you didn't ever want to have that awkward moment of, like, okay, well, here, get this song, get this, or whatever. Like, it was a nice way of queuing things up that was actually easier, and they never kind of, like, even, like, when they added, like, the smartphone functionality, like, they never even kind of did that as a thing.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's bizarre.
But, yeah.
So the only game I've actually tested this remote play out with, but I've tested it with 2 different games. I take it back. I've tested it with 2. I did Eco and the Shadow of the Colossus just because I wanted to see how bad it was. And it is very bad. Don't ever try and play...
Not optimal.
No, it's definitely the wrong way to play it on the PS3. Don't do that. And then the second one is I tried out the PS1 remote play with Crash Bandicoot Warped. Because for some reason, Sony's rights to Crash Bandicoot Warped, you can only get it via the European PSN shop. Still, that's the only way to get it.
At least on the Vita downloadable, yeah.
Unless you were one of those lucky few that actually
got
it in that weird window.
Which is funny, they've actually shut down like some of the weird window stuff. Like, you used to be able to get through PS3 to Vita before that update. You used to be able to sideload some games like Metal Gear Solid. You weren't able to download directly, but if you had a PS3, you could get Metal Gear Solid. And like now, I can just never delete Metal Gear Solid off my Vita.
Well, no, if you've already downloaded it to your Vita, I believe you can still download it. No?
Mm-mm. It has to be manually installed through a PS3.
See, I think that's something that Sony actually had no intention of allowing.
Oh, definitely.
Because they actually, like... There's, like, this weird thing where, like, Sony didn't intend for this to be possible.
Oh, I bet there are so many times where Sony's updated stuff and then fans were pissed the next day, and they were like, wait, did we do that?
Like, wait, you could do that? Like, why are you mad? Like, you got away with this. Like, for example... They actually put in a hard lock to block any ability to put Crash Bandicoot onto your Vita at all. I'm still angry about it, because that's one of my favorite games, is the Crash Bandicoot trilogy.
Just imagine Crash Team Racing on the go.
No, I've got that on my... So the funny thing is, because I have a PSP, I can play all of those.
That is true. My PSP does have all the Spyros, all the Crash, like all those legally, because I did buy those in the downloadable store.
Purchased all of them. Yeah, I literally purchased all of them. And when I got my Vita, I was like, sweet, I get to play it on my better screen. Which actually, by the way, I actually think the Vita is the lesser way to play PS1 classics because of the resolution weirdness.
Yeah, it is a weirder kind of bump up. But like there are some where I prefer it, but yeah, like Crash and stuff plays perfectly on the PSP.
It looks so weird when you play them on the Vita versus the PSP. Like it's not worth hacking the Vita to play it when I can play it on my PSP. Which, for example, that's another thing. If you don't have a PSP or access to a good computer with an emulator, like Persona 2 Eternal Punishment is still pretty much inaccessible to most people.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. But everyone out there listening, if you have been playing Eternal Punishment or are curious about it, let us know in like the comments below and stuff what you guys will think. We have a couple of questions before we get out of here.
And just one more thing.
Oh yeah.
Don't spend billions or bajillions of dollars on Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. Like, if you can't find a physical copy for the PSP on the cheap, don't pay some American who imported it for $10. Don't pay them $100. Like, don't do that.
You got it at a book off for like a $5.
Either make friends with somebody in Japan and get them to send it to you for shipping and whatever it costs, or wait, because this thing isn't gonna stay $110. It's $110 right now because the patch just came out.
100%. Yeah. Could not agree there more. But we got a question from the Discord, folks. Let's see here. First question is by Classified, who says, do you prefer the Eriko or Nanjo route for Eternal Punishment more, and why?
You want to go first or me?
I'll let you go.
I prefer Nanjo, but specifically for the PSP route, and that's because you don't get the Tatsuya scenarios unlocked without the Nanjo route.
True. I actually
on the PS1 version, I'd probably prefer the Eriko route.
I was actually, that's why I was going to pick Erika for mine. I actually missed Nanjo my first playthrough on the PS1 version back in 2000.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because I wasn't playing with strategy guides at the time. I was playing like RPGs would take me literally hundreds of hours because I was an idiot playing them.
No, I mean, for example, The Witcher 1 took me like 300 hours because I just suck at playing with PC controls.
The Witcher 1 is also a really obscure game, to be fair.
Yeah, but for the same reason that playing both of the old school Persona games is worth it, playing The Witcher 1 is completely worth it. Because you miss like almost all of the references in Eternal Punishment if you don't play Innocent Sin. For the same thing like Witcher 1. If you don't play The Witcher 1, there's so many references in The Witcher 2, you will never understand.
I am so sad that I have to not correct Jagingus, but so Jagingus said I didn't even know SingStar continued past the PS2. Not only did it continue past the PS2, it thrived on PS3. Shout out to SingStar ABBA and SingStar Queen. I played the fuck out of those games. SingStar is actually unique. For on PS3, it had the ability to be backwards compatible with PS2 disc, even if it wasn't a backwards compatible PS3.
Really?
So because they literally designed custom emulation software. So if you had a Slim or any PS3 model at all that didn't read PS2 disc, if you put in a like SingStar 1 or SingStar 80s from the PS2 on your PS3, it would load all of those songs.
That's amazing.
And it was all backwards compatible. So it would be with the current UI. They would load the SD like video off of it, but like they would be able to, you'd still could get trophies through everything and everything else with it. Like there was a straight up just PS2 option. So even though SingStar came to PS4 and had some nicer features with it, SingStar is still always the definitive edition on PS3 because you can play every SingStar song ever on it.
That's crazy. Like, I did not know that actually at all.
Yeah, SingStar is a deep, deep rabbit hole, but most people in the West didn't really get into it. It was definitely way bigger in Europe. By the way, like there are songs that only were available as DLC in certain countries, like that we missed. So like there were so many songs like, oh my god, they've got Wonderwall. Oh, only in Germany. Never mind. Like there'd be like so many moments like that. I'd get like my hopes up for a random ass like 80s song or something.
My channel may have been one of the only channels in 2019 to cover the SingStar dying. Did you know that? I bet you watched that without even knowing that, because I remember like following it at the time and I was like, nobody's talking about SingStar going offline. Yeah, we talked about it on November 11th, 2019. Yep, we were one of the few channels that covered it.
Thanks,
And like nobody watched
thanks,
it.
Carl.
Carl Lucas? Yeah, he actually had some pretty big nostalgia for it, just like you did.
Yeah, it's too many. Especially because, like, remember with the PlayStation 3 camera, like, you could watch yourself playing SingStar and all those other things with, like, I have so many, like, cringy clips or whatever that were saved from, like, playing SingStar.
Oh, I believe it.
I think we only have YouTube questions left, and then we can get the heck out of here. Let's see. LOL says, I imagine that in the podcast there's at least some discussion of the drama behind this release. Drama was in quotes, by the way. Will have been mentioned. I feel there's a lot of misinformation being spread about the patch and stolen code from CJ. The patch has been proven wrong by both parties, and I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, including some YouTubers, state stuff, insinuating that even after the fact has been proven false. Maybe I'm paying too much attention to people being dumb on Twitter, but it is sad so much misinformation and harassment spread over something that should be making people happy. P.S. What games are you looking forward to get translations next? SMT2 PSX version, SMT if PSX, Devil Summoner PSP, Megami Tensei, OG Megami Tensei, Ronde or SMT9. I'll say, at least for the translation one, definitely Devil Summoner, because that's like the best out of those, in my opinion. But also nine deserves it.
I have Mega 10 in English on the Famicom version. I have.
I think. I think they misspelled. They said given Megami Tensei. I think they made Gaiten, the PC only one. Gaiten Megami Tensei. That one is definitely not translated.
No, I've never played that one. No, I actually would. So I know that this is like a very niche crowd that would even want this, but I still want SMT9 translated.
It's coming, man. One day,
Phil Spencer.
Philly Spencer is gonna give it to us. I believe it.
Because that game, like the obscurity of the fact that it was originally supposed to be like an online only MMO, essentially, like that to me is just intriguing on its own. Like Atlas was really considering an MMO at the time of the Xbox, like not even 360, the Xbox. Like, how insane are you to try and put an MMO on the original Xbox when like Halo 2 is like the best online experience at the time? Like, who was thinking this was?
I'll say this, man. If we can have people in 2022 making YouTube videos like Nick Robinson about Phantom Dust and having Phantom Dust servers melting, like I feel like anything's possible.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm just saying, like, the fact that Atlas wanted to make Microsoft.
I was going to say, that is not an Atlas decision. That was a Microsoft decision.
The fact that Microsoft paid Atlas for an MMO that turned out not to be an MMO, to be exclusive to the Xbox in Japan, like, I just say it's such a confusing situation. And the fact that it never got an English release at all, it's like, come on, what are you guys doing? Because I mean, we got freaking Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon and all the other JRPGs Microsoft paid to produce. Like, why didn't we get that one?
Looking at you, Tales of Vesperia.
Yeah, exactly.
Final one, more of a comment, because we did definitely talk about this before in our myriad of Dead Rising tirades and stuff, but R. Cole says, does the difficulty from the PlayStation original version remain intact? Yes, it does. I'm about 3 hours into the game, and it is way more unforgiving since I have taken more than 1 point of damage. It is way more unforgiving since I've taken more than 1 point of damage on normal mode and everything with it. So yeah, it is that thing of like, it's also important to remember, like, wasn't anything super, like, well documented, but was definitely true. You were even though you can play Eternal Punishment without playing Innocent Sin, this game expected you to know how Persona 2 played. Like, it wasn't like thinking, oh, okay, we're starting you over from, like, zero baby mode now. It was like, no. Like, you probably are aware of what this story is, and, like, because it was a continuation, even though it is another side and not, like, a... Because, like, the thing I think a lot of people still even have, if you've never played Persona 2, is it's not like this is Avengers Part 1 and Part 2. No, these are two different stories called Persona 2. They just are in the same world and stuff like that. So, like, they're intrinsically tied to each other, but it's not like one is the finale and one's the beginning, you know?
Well, technically speaking, the true ending is the ending of Persona 2 Eternal Punishment.
Yeah,
Like,
well, yes, but I mean, in terms
timeline.
of like, that's why like we got Eternal Punishment over here. Of like, you can play Eternal Punishment and then Innocent Sin, or Innocent Sin and then Eternal Punishment. Like that doesn't matter. It just you'll have
That's true.
different context.
Like, I still enjoy the fact that they have a lot of references to Persona 2 and Persona 3.
Yes,
Like, that was pretty cool to me that they did that.
Although, what's funny about that? There's
more
references in the American version than the Japanese one, which I always find funny. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, and it's 11 o'clock at night, so you guys can correct me on this. I'm pretty sure Maya is not named Maya in the Japanese version.
I actually don't know.
Like, I think it is just a random chick online, whereas they wanted to make it a reference to Persona 2.
Because it's called, the game in the American version that they're playing is called like Innocent Sin Online or something. Yeah.
So I'll
That's
let
one
you
of the things
all.
I liked, that Atlas actually spent the time to add references, especially and that might be one of the biggest reasons why Persona 3 Portable is chosen, is because don't you get like in the female protagonist version, you get like the Yukari, not Yukari, like
Yukiko?
Yukiko?
Mhm.
Yeah, Yukiko. There's like the Amano.
The Amano Inn, like when you're visiting.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Amagi Inn.
Amagi. I don't know why I was my.
Yo, Amago, get him over here.
No, the Amagi Inn. You get like a scene there or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to see young Yukiko, which is really bizarre.
Oh yeah, with the ponytail, I think. Isn't that what she has? She's
almost like almost like a Nanako looking person.
Not that young, but yeah, definitely kind of getting up there with it. But well, Chris, before we get out of here and I crawl to, well, I was gonna say I crawl to bed, but no, I'll be crawling to the microwave to make some popcorn to then watch Better Call Saul and hopefully not get spoiled on anything. But where can people follow you? The Chris cast, the Will cast, the Chrillcast everywhere. Where do you want them to catch you out?
Pretty much on YouTube, it's unfortunately the word "the" was left in the title on our YouTube
Damn it.
because I didn't know that if your name has a "the" in it, like YouTube won't give you a URL without the word "the" in it, which is stupid. But so it's youtube.com/thechrillcast, or you can go to chrillcast.com and most of our links are there. You can also follow us on Twitter @Chrillcast, if you can figure out how to spell it. ChrillCast. But I do want to thank Spencer, because lately Spencer's been like our only guest on the show. We've been really guest list for a while. I need to start getting guests back on our show too.
Let me tell you, everybody.
Shout out to you.
If you think getting a guest is hard, try doing it every week. It
is really freaking hard.
Well, I always envy you guys, because I miss the constant co-host dynamic. But it does also motivate me more and more every week to always try and find a guest co-host if I can. But I did miss, like, because I for many years had like the same two co-hosts with like Waffles and Melissa. Like I had them there forever and ever and ever. And same with Will and in that first year with Lauren.
Yeah, it is hard coordinating other people's schedules. I would say it's almost easier to find a rando co-host every week than it is to have.
Don't tell them my secret.
Because especially if you have plenty of people that are willing to come on, like, it's one thing if you're like a nobody and nobody knows who you are and you're like, hey, come on my podcast, and you're like, you have one subscriber, I don't know who you even are. But like when you have several people that you know well and you can be like, hey, who's available, like I almost feel like that's easier than coordinating schedules every week. Like, I imagine when you were doing it with Waffles, and who's the other person again? I'm sorry.
Melissa.
That was probably very difficult with two co-hosts, because like there's weeks where I'm like, hey, who's available Saturday?
It was always kind of funny, because like Waffles and I were always home all the time, and like Melissa's thing, like she always had like the weird like retail job schedule. So yeah, that would be like the harder one. But like honestly, like one of the funny things that like has always like kept us being like the number one like Atlas like kind of related like podcast for so long is, like you said, like that thing of just like you look at other shows out there and it's like it's easier for me to grab Gnarly a week after Anime Expo and bring him on here than it is for him to get his like 4 or 5 people on his show to do a show, because he's trying to get 5 people in a Discord call for 2 hours.
That is not easy to do, especially not consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could, I mean, you might be able to get people for a couple months, and it's like, wait a second, I have plans this night. I ain't doing no podcast.
I mean, I got a baby. To feed. This baby ain't going to be on the podcast. Has the baby made the Chrillcast debut yet?
He was in the room when I was recording once.
Okay.
Does that count?
That counts. Yeah, that counts. You don't have to dox the baby. Give him his birth code or whatever. You could be like that one scene of like classic Family Guy. Be like, hey, have you seen my son? Here. You can take this old picture of him. It's he messed it up by putting his school schedule and a list of all of his fears on the back. You can just keep that.
No, I didn't even know that was that's awesome. Is it a Peter Griffin that said that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That sounds like a Peter Griffin quote. No, I'm not Peter Griffin. I'm more like Homer Simpson, man. Like, never mind.
I'm a man. Yeah, that might be worse than that. I feel like you would be like a good like Bob, like from Bob's Burgers.
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't watched Bob's Burgers.
Do you like dad jokes and puns?
Yes.
Then perfect. By the way, if you want like a good comfort show to have on in the background, Bob's Burgers is fantastic comfort TV.
That does not surprise me, because that's the same voice actor for Archer, right?
Yep, John H. Benjamin. Like, that is his most him just being fucking himself role, is Bob Belcher.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you for everyone watching live. I appreciate the numbers. Like we peaked with like I think a 5, so that was fun. But like everyone else will get to listen to this on Tuesday, probably like afternoon or so. I want to give this at least a solid like 12 hours or so of exclusivity. But everyone out there listening on Patreon, I appreciate you. If you would like to listen to the show early or get perks, exclusive giveaways, or have me say your name and stuff like that, you can join the SMTN Patreon by going to patreon.com/SMTN. It really, really helps, especially, like I said at the beginning of the show. Being broke sucks, even if it's temporarily, but I know times are tough, so if you can only help by listening or commenting and sharing and subscribing on YouTube, that stuff really, really helps. Like, especially, definitely go support Chris and Will and all of them over there. But if you do have the means and the funds and you want to help keep the hosting fees going, you can support with $1 a month to be the fan tier, and that gets you the show early, all that other stuff. If you want me to say your name, you will be an executive producer at the $5 and up tier, just like the following executive producers like Jagingus, Budweiser Tall Cans. I love saying that name like every time. Like, I know that's not a name, but like it's a good like sounds like a fake, like you're like telling someone a alibi name. It'd be like a good Rusty Shackelford like name. Carlos Hernandez, Contraband, Cross Renren, K Horse, Philip Myers, Seashow, Solaire, and everyone else who's just a regular patron. You're still beautiful. Thank you. Whether it be $2 and up, £1 a month, or $1 a month, I appreciate you all for the support. Whether it's for a month or so, like, and by the way, if you support the Patreon, you can do it as long or as little as you want. I'm fine if you want to do it for a month, or if you want to do it for like 10 years. No worry on that one. But enough shilling. All our links will be below. The first ones will, of course, be Chris on the YouTube, the Chrillcast website, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Follow us at all your stuff. Is there a Chrillcast, like, Discord yet?
It exists. I can't say that it's well maintained.
We need to... Hey, listen. Until literally, like, 2 years ago, and that's being generous, the SMTN Discord was a thing that existed for, like, 5 years, and I only started really caring about a year and a half ago. That was just because I was too scared to learn Discord.
Yeah, like, the only thing that is consistently used on our Discord is the self-promo. Shout out to VSips for continuing to post his own content in our
He will just keep pushing it, man. That's actually one of the funny things of, like, I'm always surprised I don't see more people do on the SMTN Facebook group. Like, there's over 11,000 people in there. Like, if you want to go in there and, like, shoot your shot and, like, show some stuff, even if it's not Atlas related, like, the rule is you can share anything you want in that group because we're all just like-minded individuals. It's just, you just don't spam it, like, multiple posts every day or whatever. Like, yeah, but it is that thing of, like, hey, if you guys ever want to, like, way to try and find anybody new, there's a room we made with 11,000 people in there, and I'm sure there's at least one of you in there who's never heard of you.
Yeah, I've considered posting in there before, but I just am not a self promoter. I did that for a long time when we started, and I just don't self-promote very hard anymore. I just rely on the YouTube algorithm for people to find me at this point.
Yeah, that's true. I send all my episodes of the podcast to Chris Raygun, just thinking he'll retweet them one day. So that's my thing with it. Oh my gosh, I know I don't need to start another topic, but this could just be a quick yes or no. Did you see he's actually trying the Halo 2 lasso challenge?
On Twitch, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it. I haven't had a chance to tune in
The
yet.
fact that he's even
frustrated.
trying that, I'm like, kudos to you, dude. That's such an insane fucking challenge.
Oh yeah, it totally is. Like that is. I have finished Halo 2 on Legendary, not Lasso, and I have to say, actually, Halo 2 is one of the few campaigns that is harder to do co-op than it is to do solo.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're really good and you can get through Halo 2 Legendary, your co-op partner may not be, and every time somebody dies, well, there you go. It's horrible.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, before we get out of here, I thought instead of a normal goodbye, if you're up for it, would you like to let the Google Translate gods see us out? And do you want to read off the amazing opening according to Google Translate for Persona 2 Innocent Sin?
You're talking about this opening thing that I've got on Skype?
Yes. Would you like to...
So this is the first page of the manual. It's describing what's going on. It's actually a lot better than I thought it would be. But here is the Google Translate of the opening in the manual. This is the physical manual I have.
What's it smell like? Can you let us set the mood. What's the manual smelling like right now?
Should I go full Witcher? And
yeah, get a
lilac and gooseberries.
Mm-hmm. The snozberries smell like snozberries.
Yeah. Anyways, it doesn't smell anything special. You know, it came. My goodness. No, it's from Japan, so somebody else opened it before me, unfortunately. But it doesn't smell like anything anymore. The main story is what it starts off with, and it's actually the main Tory because Google Translate didn't translate the English word story, obviously, because it's already in English. But it says the main character, Maya Amano, works for a city, not any particular city, just a city, as a publisher, as an editor of an information magazine for teenagers. Good stuff. Her daily life is changed by an encounter with a boy. Not Tatsuya, a boy.
You're saying some boy.
It started crumbling slowly to that boy who doesn't even know his name. A letter is sent to Maya just as he remembers a strange deja vu. Next, Maeda. That's literally what it says here. The sender of the letter is a person who calls himself Joker. Oh, they got that part right at least. At the same time, a certain quote-unquote rumor began to circulate in the city. If you call your cell phone from your own cell phone and say the name of a person who is in the way, Joker-sama will kill you.
Thank you, Lord
Joker. As if the rumors
Joker.
had finally come true, a serial bizarre murder case begins to occur. Memories that are entangled with bad causes and effects. What awaits at the end of the truth is great punishment, ? Or ... And then it has a summary of Maya Amano's name, age, and etc.
I mean, honestly, for Google Translate of just algorithm-based translation, not terrible. Obviously,
that's one of the better ones I've seen.
It's at least doesn't it's at least not like those things of when you ever do translate into one language and then translate into English. That's when it gets really sloppy.
Actually, do you want me to read the Maya Amano biography at the bottom of this?
Yeah, sure.
It's actually not bad. So it says Maya Amano, age 23, and then it says initial persona Maya. She works for Kismet Publishing and is a reporter for Coolest, an information magazine for teens. A beautiful woman who is bright, lively, and has a healthy sex appeal, apparently. You are the type that naturally draws people to you because of your casual consideration and friendly atmosphere. And then it says recent. So this is from her perspective, I guess. Recently, I met a boy whose name I don't even know for the first time, and I was attacked by the feeling that I had met him in the past. So I call him the boy of deja vu. That's not that bad either.
No, yeah. I mean, it's... You still get it. Even if you don't have, the memory or, the context for it, it still definitely makes sense, which is nice.
Yeah, I am actually curious whether the Google translated version of the translation is better than the Americanized Eternal Punishment from the PS1.
I just definitely can't wait till like if this actually does get an official translation, how this will compare to the original. I'm very curious.
Oh, can I just one last thing that I want to harp on? Okay, so I did an unboxing video of the original Persona Revelation series Persona, right? And I got a comment that just irked me to no end. Somebody's like, "Wait, that manual, it's missing the mail to Atlas insert in the middle," and I'm like, "Hold up, are there literally people that actually care about that still being physically
Oh
in
yeah,
the
there are
manual?"
the amount of people who don't think something is complete in box until it has like all the inserts, like especially because remember how much bullshit would be in Nintendo games of like the Nintendo Power advert, the like little player survey thing, like all of those. That was like such a big thing.
So I still have the insert for the mail to Atlas for my Eternal Punishment manual, which, by the way, that is the cleanest Persona 2 manual I have ever seen in my life.
For
But I still
whatever
literally
reason,
have
Persona 2 always is so crusty when I see it at like game stores.
mine is the cleanest copy I have ever seen. This is still all there.
It
like,
belongs in
physically.
a museum, Chris.
My case that I have for it is like perfect. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But I'm gonna send you this picture where the insert is still in the manual, so you can gaze at its glory. But
You just want me to get jealous. It's gonna work though.
it is literally in perfect condition. But what's funny is when I originally bought it, it wasn't, and it was literally shipped in a envelope.
That's like always the best. Like when like the things that are like the most expensive have the cheapest shipping. Like what were you thinking?
Like, yeah, so this thing still has everything. It's literally a perfect copy. But I love Persona 3
Oh my gosh, yeah,
my
dude, that thing
favorite.
is like fresh out of the notebook binder. I think I was looking fresh.
Even the cover of the manual, I'll send that too. It's like perfect condition. But I'm not gonna harp on it forever. This is one of my favorite games ever. Is Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, and there's a reason I was willing to buy it, but it was also only $50. So yeah.
Something I recently found out existed that like I would love to get it, and I wonder how hard it would be if I even ever could get it. Was when I talked to the director. Oh man, I love that cover so much more than the one we have. Like I get why we got it. I like absolutely lost my mind when I was talking to the voice director who like did all the voice acting for Eternal Punishment on PS1. Of like when he showed me the picture of the script and he still had it, I was like, I would love to own that. Like that would be such a cool thing to have because like it had all the notes from like those like the staff in Japan who like had to like be in there for the recordings and stuff. Like that'd be such a cool like piece of history to have.
Oh, it would definitely be a cool piece of history to have. Like I like having like original stuff, like that kind of thing. But I also would be concerned that I would break something like that, you know.
Yeah, that one you'd have to put in like the hermetically sealed chamber.
I just get nervous even having these like mint copies of the original Persona games. Like both of my copies of the Persona games, other than the manual for Revelation series Persona, because it's missing the mail to Atlas insert, because of course that's important.
You're not Atlas faithful unless you mailed it in. So clearly, if you still have the insert, that means you're not a real fan.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Is like somebody. Well, that's another question. Who the heck mailed that in back in the '90s? Like.
I never did any of those mail-in things. The only time I ever did one was for when I finally got a GameCube. I signed up for Nintendo Power just so I could get the strategy guide to Legend of Zelda, the collector's edition thing with the 4 games on GameCube. And it also came with a Four Swords t-shirt that actually has Aonuma's signature printed on the back. I still have that shirt. It's like one of my favorite t-shirts.
Yeah, and then the fact that mine came with the bonus disc when it didn't even list it in the listing that I bought it from. Perfect.
Well, on that note, everyone can be jealous of your minty fresh Eternal Punishment, or just play the new translation in the fan mod. So, everybody, thanks for listening. I think we said goodbye like at least 9 times, but you know what? This short show turned into a hot 2-hour show, so I hope you all enjoy it. We will see you next
Sorry,
week.
Spencer.
That is okay. I always appreciate talking with you, but if I sound like I'm a little out of it, I am extremely tired, but I had a great time talking with you, so good night, everybody.
You too, Spencer.
All right. The stream